Austins grew soybeans and chickens and were active in their country church. They had many relatives and friends, and they had never voted for Ozzy. Every deputy on the payroll was at the hospital by 2 a.m. At 3, they sneaked Simeon out of the hospital and took him to jail. Ozzy informed them. Letty and Portia used the same side door and left the hospital. Jake accompanied them to their car. He returned to the main lane, avoided the waiting area, and found Ozzy chatting with 2 of his men. Dumas Lee approached them, camera around his neck, and they immediately went silent. Dumas said, "So, Jake, you got a minute?" Jake hesitated, looked at Ozzy, who said, "No comment whatsoever." Then asked Dumas, "What's on your mind?" "Just a couple of questions." They walked away side by side down a long corridor. Dumas asked, "Can you confirm it's Simeon Lang?" It was senseless to deny it, so Jake said, "Yes." "And you're his lawyer?" "I am not." "Okay, but he's had a drunk driving charge pending in city court for 4 months. Your name's on the docket as his lawyer." Careful, Jake warned himself. He breathed deeply and felt a quick knot in his stomach. "I did that as a favor," he said. "I don't care why you did. Your name's on the docket as his lawyer." "I'm not his lawyer, okay? Never have been. I can't represent the estate of Seth Hubbard and also represent Simeon Lang, the husband of one of the beneficiaries." "Then why did you show up in court on October 19th to request the postponement of his drunk driving case?" "It was a favor. I'm not his lawyer, okay, Dumas?" "Why has the case been postponed for 4 months?" "I'm not the judge." "I'll talk to him later," Dumas fired back. "You do that. Don't play the comment." Jake abruptly turned around and walked away. Dumas followed and kept talking, said, "Look, Jake, you better talk to me because this is going to look bad." Jake turned around again, and they squared off in the center of the corridor. Jake caught himself, took a deep breath, and said, "Don't draw any conclusions, Dumas. I haven't touched the DUI case in 4 months because I'm not his lawyer. If you will recall, at the time, he was represented by those clowns from Memphis, not by me. So please, be careful here." Dumas was scribbling furiously. Jake wanted to punch him. Everything was suddenly forgotten by screams from the other end of the building. Bo Rossi was pronounced dead at 4:15 a.m. Chapter 29. Jake and Carl sat at the kitchen table and waited for the coffee. It was not yet 5 a.m. on Wednesday, February 27th, a day that would undoubtedly be one of the saddest and darkest in the country's history. 2 teenagers, bright kids, strong students, athletes, church members, popular boys from a good family, slaughtered on an icy road by a train. The horrible news was spreading by the minute. The cafes would be packed as the early risers hurried in for the latest word. The churches would be open. Clinton High School would be the worst place to be. Those poor kids. Carl poured coffee and he spoke softly in hushed tones so Helen could be heard. Jake was saying, "I've never opened the file. Ozzy called me on Monday, told me Simeon was arrested on Saturday morning and was due in court on Wednesday. When he sold that, Ozzy drove him home and along the way told him to get rid of the Memphis Lions. I thanked Ozzy and we agreed to meet later. He called back and asked if I would show up in court Wednesday to get the case continued. Ozzy thought he could use the DUI to pressure Simeon to get in line. I went to court that Wednesday, did the paperwork, asked for continuance, got done, and forgot about it, for the most part. At the time, Simeon was still represented by Booker's sister, and I told Simeon in court that I would not help him with the DUI. I didn't like that. In fact, I despised it. Did you see a pamphlet? Clara asked. I thought about it. In fact, I even mentioned it to Ozzy. The truth was, there was no conflict. I'm the attorney for the estate. Simeon is not an interested party in the estate. His wife is, but he's not. That's not really clear, Jim. No, it's not. And I should not have gotten involved. It was a huge mistake. I didn't trust my instinct. But no one can blame me for Simeon's life. Sure they can. If the case had been handled properly, he would have been convicted and his license revoked. He would not have been driving last night, in theory anyway. The truth is, half the blacks and rednecks in this county do not have valid licenses. It's only 4 months, Joe. These places drag on for long, don't they? Sometimes. What was that guy's name? The roofer. You did a DUI for his son in the place last of the year. Chuck Denny. But I didn't want the boy in jail until they finished with our roof. My point is that these places can drag on. Sure. But there's always finger-pointing after a tragedy. The blame game. And since I'm in the wrong camp, I'll get my share. It's always easy to blame the lawyers. Ozzy will get hammered too. He'll be seen as the black sheriff trying to protect one of his own, and now 2 white kids are in it. It could be good. Maybe not, Joe. I'm not optimistic. How will it affect the real content? Jake slowly sipped his coffee and stared through a window into the darkness of his room. Softly he said, "It's devastating. Simeon Lang will be the most reviled person in this country for months to come. He'll have his day in court, then get sent away to prison. Over time, he'll be forgotten by most people. But our trial is only 6 weeks away. The lying name is toxic. Imagine trying to pick a jury with that baggage." He took another sip and rubbed his eyes. Letty has no choice but to file for divorce quickly. She has to cut all ties to Simeon. Why not? He'll spend the next 20 or 30 years in Portugal, where he belongs. Why should the license be pleased with that? Are you seeing her today? Ready? I'm sure I will. I'll call Henry Brooks first thing this morning about our rooms a week. He'll know it. Will this help the Times? No. The Times will be on the street in an hour. I'm sure Dennis will give it the entire front page next week, with photos of the wrecked vehicles, as much gore as possible. And he'd love to round me up too. What's the worst he can say about me, Jim? Well, first he can label me as Simeon's lawyer. Then he can slant and twist and imply that I've somehow stalled the October DUI case, and that if I have not done so, then Simeon's driver's license would have been yanked by the court, and he wouldn't be driving. Thus, the Roston boys wouldn't be dead. You can't do that. That's assuming far too much. He can, and he will. You talk to him. Damage control here, Joe. Today is Wednesday, so the funeral will probably be over the weekend. Wait until Monday and file the divorce. What do you call that restraining thing? TR, temporary restraining order. That's it. Get the judge to sign one of those so Simeon can't get more later. Sure, he's in jail, but if she wants a TRO, it makes her look good. Clean break. She's running from the guy. In the meantime, talk to Dennis and make sure he gets the facts straight. Do some research and show him that some DUI cases drag on for more than 4 months. You never open the file, and you certainly won't pay the dime. See if you can convince Ozzy to take some heat. If I recall correctly, he got about 70% of the vote.